Good morning. We'll call the Wednesday, May 15th meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee to order. Start with roll call.
Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Present.
Mr. Carrico?
Present.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Present.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Turner?
Present.
Ms. Monday?
Present.
Ms. Andrade? Ms. Summer Earps? Ms. Rittman-Akemi?
Present.
Mr. Marion?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Alexander Hildebrand?
Present.
We have a quorum.
I have no public comment at this time. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? I'd like to make a motion or get a motion to amend the agenda to move Miss Cianci up. She has a meeting in Springfield. Mr. Eckhoff, second by Miss Monday. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sandy. In your package you have a copy of this monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Mr. Long, Miss Andrade with a second. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning. I don't really have anything special to report on any of these reports. Does anyone have any questions? Collections are down significantly. Jim and I are going to have a meeting with the Harris & Harris collection agency to see if there's anything new or exciting that we can do to bring that around. But really, with the way the laws have changed, there's really no hook to get people to pay their traffic tickets and things. So that's where we are with that.
Any questions on the report? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, so welcome, Ryan. I see that you're here today. So what we do with all the new members is if they'd like to come and take a tour of what we have going on, you're more than welcome to do that. The construction in my office is going very well. They have been taping and mudding the walls the last couple days, so things are perking right along there. And the computer Tyler project is going really well right now too. I sent a list of the employees that I have in my office to Jason so that he could start lining up where he's going to put the training rooms and the computer systems and whatever. And he said, I just realized you have a third of your office working on this project. And I said, yeah, it's a lot. So, everybody's been doing a fantastic job picking up and keeping up for each other. We're just working as a good team, and I'm really happy with what's going on right now. So that's about all I have.
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take a motion to approve the minutes from April 10th, 2024. Mr. Carrico, second by Mr. Eckhoff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, probation. Mr. Latham. In your package you have a copy of Tom's monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Marion. Morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Comments on your report, please.
I do not, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Only thing I have is state pretrial took over all the cases, a week ago Monday. So everything's been switched over to them. The only thing left is they're still in the annex building, and their space is being, they're doing some work on it, and they'll be moving into that space, I'm hoping, by June 1st. So here in a couple weeks. So really, the transition will be complete at that point, so finally. And so the two individuals that were in pretrial moved into the remaining vacancies. And so now, for right now, we're, full staff for the first time in several years, actually. So everything's moving forward finally, so. And the grant we discussed last month was submitted May 9th. So that's off, and we'll hopefully hear something there in the next month.
Mr. Hunter, you have a question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Tom, could you explain that transition and how will it work?
Well, it really was, the first part of it was they took all new cases coming on. So, you know, when they did bond reports, they went to court, someone was arrested. They handled all those cases. A week ago Monday, they took over all what we call legacy cases. Basically all the current caseload we had. They were
A
all,
lot of cases, or?
yeah, I should have a number for you. I've gone over that number 100 times. I can't remember it, but it was quite a few. But yeah, it was all switched over to them, and it went pretty smooth. I mean, we had anybody we had on GPS, we had them come in and we switched their bracelet or took off ours, put theirs on. So they're under their system now and all that stuff, and it went pretty smooth. So better than I thought it was gonna go. So
That's unusual
Yeah,
for the
no,
state. No,
I know.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
no. Any
I'll
other
get back to my office and something funny happened.
any other questions for Mr. Long? Or Mr. Latham? I'm looking at him. You got promoted and didn't even know it.
No, you didn't.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Up next, Chief Judge.
Morning,
Good
morning.
morning again.
Well, what Tom failed to mention is they're also going to pay for those bracelets, so that's a big savings to the county. Last month I talked a little bit about the public defender money that's coming in from Springfield. We got $10 million, not Kankakee, but the state of Illinois got $10 million allocated to the public defender's office, and our allocation, I believe, was about $115,000 for Kankakee County and about $85,000 for Iroquois County, which is also in our circuit. And from what I understand, that's in the budget again this year. But last month I mentioned that the state is moving to take over the whole public defender system, just like they have done with the pretrial services. And President Harmon had a bill in the Senate, but he pulled it. There was a lot of opposition to it because it was only like 2 pages long and there wasn't enough detail. And so they have reintroduced a bill. I think it's 42 pages now. And the issue has been, it's a question of control and power, I guess. But the issue is who's going to control it. Is the judiciary going to be involved in approving or appointing public defenders, and you know, and then the other side of that coin is no, it should be an independent commission appointed you know, by the legislature that would make those decisions. So I think that's where the discussion is going right now. So we'll see what happens there. But long term, if this goes into effect, they will take over the funding of the public defender's office. They haven't said where the money's coming from, but that was the idea, that to push more resources into the public defender's arena, so that the public defenders have the resources similar to the state's attorney's office. They're trying to make that a little bit more comparable. It's always been pretty skewed in favor of the state's attorney's office with regard to the allocation of assets and salaries and everything else, investigators, the whole group there. Other than that, let's see, there's a meeting with the Iroquois County mental health people this afternoon. We're gonna put some brochures out in the courthouse for the fairly new 988 system. You've heard of 911, obviously. 988 is also a number that's out there that you can call, and if you have people that are suicidal, mental health issues that don't need to be taken immediately to the emergency room or whatever, and they have a mental health staff, that their goal is to reach those people that call in or that you call in for within 90 minutes. That's their goal. And they have offices in Watseka, Kankakee, Danville, and Manteno. So we'll be putting some things up in the courthouse with regard to that kind of information. But that information, the reason I mention it, it's really of benefit to all businesses, all people, all governments that might run into that issue. So, but everything else is being reported on by some of the other department heads that's going on. There's a lot going on at the courthouse. We'll have an open house too, right, Andy? some point, well, a couple of months, I think we'll be done over there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question regarding the 115,000. So what is that going to be allocated for then? How is that going to be used? Is it for salaries or?
The first year of allocation, there are no strings attached. I don't know if that's gonna change in the new budget. And Mr. Pennewick can certainly answer that question, but it is, he has allocated some to salaries, equipment, staff. It's really not
Everything.
designated. But the one thing that they did point out, it's not to replace the county's portion of the funding. This is supposed to bolster, you're supposed to think outside the box. What can we do to better the public defender's office? And here's some money to do it. I mean, there's a lot of counties that they don't have offices. You know, they're just working out of their own legal office.
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess it's more of a finance issue, but I will mention it here because the content of that conversation will go over to next year's budgets, and you start to look at ARPA allocations and what we are doing to fund positions within these departments we're talking about here. You know, the public defender, Sandy's office, and state's attorney. With the changes and further clarifications of ARPA, there's serious questions whether we can carry that going forward internally. And it's a limited pool of money anyway. The new normal is kind of back at the end of this budget year. So I would say maybe look at that 115,000, because that whatever we just approved last month in terms of a budget amendment to cover off for Mr. Pennewick for the rest of this year, that money's not there next year. I'm just trying to plant that seed right now that ARPA's ended, and the money that we're going to allocate for just the court side of it, the way it's reading is there have to be contracts in place, and there's no contracts between departments of a county government. And so we're trying to figure out how to possibly do that when that fund is also dwindling as well. It's just about exhausted. So more to come on that, but I would say please don't make decisions on that 115 until we get towards budget time, and I don't know if that's possible with the way the state's number lines up. Does that make sense, Judge?
Yeah.
I just want to keep everybody aware that we're kind of in the end of ARPA, beginning of like back to normal in terms of these extra allocations for funding salaries.
Right.
Just want
Right.
to mention that.
Okay.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chief Judge Cunnington, I know you've articulated in the past that you attend the chief judge's meetings statewide, I guess. Could you give us some kind of insight or just encapsulate some things that were discussed? Because I think my question to you a couple months ago may have been, might there be any discussion on some of the vicissitudes of the Safety Act?
Well, let's see. We have a meeting. I'm going out tomorrow, actually, for our monthly meeting in May, and there's a number of issues, you know, throughout the state that keep coming up. There is little discussion on the Safety Act at this point. I mean, there was a lot of discussion last year, but very little discussion this year. And that's because there is no active committee of the chief judges that's dealing with it. It's in place. It's the law. We're all trying to adjust to it, and that's really what's going on. There are you know, pieces here and there that need to be amended. That there's committees in the legislature working on that, but so there's not much activity on that issue. But I mean, there's a lot of issues. You know, the court reporters, we have a dearth of court reporters in the state of Illinois. It's Kankakee right now is okay. We have had some retirements, and we'll probably have some more. We're gonna have one in a couple, let's see, June 30th. I think we have another one retiring, but we're okay in Kankakee right now, but it is a problem statewide. They're just not graduating them out of the court reporter school. So, you know, the issue is going to be in the future, is electronic recording going to take the place of court reporters? The judges don't feel that that would be a wise thing. Court reporters have an ability to be extremely accurate in what they're taking down. When you get electronic recording, you don't get you don't get everything with it, even though it's, you know, word for word, because you either don't hear it, because the court reporter has to kind of interpret a little bit when they hear something. They have to, in context and all that, they don't change what's being said, but they have to make a decision, you know, what did that person say, and then type that in, and it's all done very quickly. But so I don't think we'll ever see court reporters being eliminated, but that's one of the issues. But and then there's just I can give you a better report maybe next month on what's going on, but there's a lot of topics statewide that we discuss.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Up next, State's Attorney's Office. Mr. Coughlin, in your package you have a copy of the grand jury report and the grand jury statistics report. Take a motion to combine and approve them. Mr. Eckhoff, second by Ms. Emming.
Good morning,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Comments on the report?
I've got no comments on the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody's got.
Any questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You know, I will say that mental health court is up and going. We've been bringing people in every week. We're bringing in another participant this week. So thus far, I think I do the other treatment courts, but this is definitely kind of a different bird. It's similar, but different. But so far, so good. So thank you.
Up next, Public Defender's Office, Mr. Pendlewick. In the package, you have a copy of his report. Take a motion to approve that. It's Monday, second by Ms. Andrade. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Roger.
Comments on the report?
No comments. Happy to answer any questions.
It's a good site over here on the side from the last month to this month.
There's always an arbitrariness to the swing for a variety of reasons. Like I said a long time ago, we don't consider bench warrant cases open cases, so we have dozens, if not hundreds, of open warrant cases that are not incorporated into the statistics. So if there's a warrant sweep, we get all these cases back, the numbers go up. If someone keeps files in their office too long and they finally bring them in, they go down. But yes, the trend is definitely going down, and it's good.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And if you had a magic wand, what could you do to enhance the service being delivered by your office?
It's personnel, just more people. It's that simple. I don't. I play with the cards I'm dealt, and the county board's been more than
Gracious.
Yep. To help over the years, the budget has increased, not dramatically, but it has increased over my tenure. So I've got a lot more full timers now than I had when I started. When I started, it was me and a traffic attorney, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I should know off the top of my head, but the number of full timers have increased dramatically. So things have improved over the last 4 years. I mean, by any objective standard, we're still quote unquote short staffed, and I'm definitely going to comment on the discussion that Judge Cunnington had and Chairman Wheeler had in a little bit, but it's all about personnel. Just to touch on the PD fund, one of the purposes of the PD fund when first presented, like the judge said, there really are no conditions or requirements for it. But one of the big things they talked about was update your office. Well, there's only so much you can do. I was talking to a guy from Rock Island. He goes, all my attorneys have 2 computers now. We're done. All of my attorneys have new staplers. We're done. You can't spend And I don't think you should spend $115,000 on things that, you know, printers and copy machines and state-of-the-art stuff, because it doesn't help the job. It just doesn't. So it's all about personnel. That's the bottom line.
Any interns at all?
I got one coming in to interview Friday from KCC, Kankakee High School graduate. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good local boy.
Girl, but yeah,
Local,
woman. Sorry,
local person, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
person,
Yeah, local
correct.
person. We have a motion and a second on his report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else?
just briefly, right now, the primary part of the allotment is going to, I hired a full-time assistant about 4 or 5 months ago. I had a paralegal for a while, but she didn't pass the bar, so she no longer works in our office. I'm going to be hiring a secretary out of the money. It's basically, as the judge said, it's not to supplant the current budget, it's to enhance it, and I'm doing that. We've been short-staffed on secretarial staff for quite some time. We used to have 3 secretaries. We were down to the office manager for a very long time. We finally hired another secretary, and now we're going to use some of that money to finally hire back a 3rd secretary. Lost my train of thought. Oh, Chairman, we already talked about the ARPA money. I've said from day one, the ARPA money is the ARPA money. When we have it, we have it. When it's gone, it's gone. I understand that. That was a benefit that we didn't have pre-COVID, so I view it, obviously I need those people to do their job. They do it well. They fill a void, but I accept that reality as far as what happens when that money runs out. So I'm just kind of talking, I don't know if I'm talking in circles or not, but hopefully the replacement of the statewide PD, there's no timetable like the judge alluded to. Things are kind of up in the air. There's 3 basic approaches: status quo, a hybrid, and full state taking over. I think the first version was basically status quo. Basically that got withdrawn. Then the new version's out. Who knows what's going to happen, and then who knows when it's going to happen. So I don't want, this is not something that I don't believe is going to happen quickly. And even if it happens, even if the legislation gets passed quickly, the devil's in the details. Who's paying fringes? Are they county employees? Are they state employees? Who's paying? There's so many dynamics that have not been answered yet. So I don't think hopefully it doesn't happen as quickly as people might want it to happen, because I just don't think the transition is going to go necessarily smoothly. But that's just my opinion. I have no real reason to think that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not going to happen quick. So don't. Hopefully the chairman doesn't start looking at my office space to figure out what he's going to do with it, because the state's going to take it over, because they haven't taken it over yet. But it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. And that's all. Any questions?
Mr. Wheeler.
So when the U-Haul pulls up next week, I'm just kidding.
I saw Wes down there yesterday. I'm like, what are you
We're
doing
gonna need you to
down
move into the basement. Yeah.
here? Yeah.
Just come to me. If the state does take this over, that means they will hire all the attorneys?
That's one of the $1 million questions. Whether the judiciary still has control over. They're going to be called deputy PDs now. My spot would be a deputy PD spot. Do the judges hire me? Does the guy in Springfield or the person in Springfield hire me? My gut tells me it's going to be the state. The state public defender is going to do all the hiring. I think that's just my gut.
Chairman Wheeler.
If they're going with what they did with probation, yeah, I would say. But if they go with where probation was, maybe they'll do them as grant and aid. Where we got to cover 20% and they do the other. I mean, it's still a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
That would eliminate part-time people then, right?
They're saying that's incorporated.
Yeah.
It's still acceptable.
Okay.
Is what some people are saying.
There is another issue with the part-time. It's the new law with paying part-time people vacation. All of the part-time public defenders are now eligible for vacation.
And I talked to Anita,
which is problematic for me in a big way.
Yeah.
But again, it's the law. So people can work here for 2 months and we pay them out with a week's vacation. That's not the way it's supposed to work. So,
and I agree.
We're going to have something for executive on that for the board, because it's happening.
I agree the law is the law and it has to be followed. I talked to Anita. I mean, my part-timers are, still professionals and they really don't care about that law, but it has to be enforced. So that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Anything else for Mr. Pennewick? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. With respect, we're providing them office space. Is there any kind of benefit that we receive in terms of them paying for the locale, or is that part of the match, or what?
You talking about the state thing?
Yeah.
Right now, they're not doing that like they are with Tom, so I can't speak to that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Up next, the sheriff. In the package, you have a copy of the sheriff's monthly report. Take a motion to approve. Ms. Andrade, second by Ms. Turner. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. A couple of things on the report that I'll highlight. The majority of it is pretty much status quo. If you look at the under section 1 to the far right, the bolded number of $195,000, that's how much we are less in inmate revenue this year through April 30th than we were last year. This wasn't something that we didn't anticipate. We knew that last year we were about as high as we could go, and we had only one way to go. However, that number is somewhat volatile in the sense that it could change next month. So we go month to month, we adjust our staffing as we need it, and if you look from that number, if you look down to the bottom under revenue, we are averaging more than fiscal year 22 and averaging less than fiscal year 2023. So we should end up somewhere between those two numbers, which isn't necessarily bad. It's not as good as we'd like it, but again, there's still 6 months left in the fiscal year, so we will monitor that as we go. A couple other things on the report. Under section 2, the sworn services under traffic. If you look at under the warnings and citations for 2024 so far, our department's actually written more warnings than we have citations, which, as I've said before, traffic enforcement is about safety more so than it is revenue. I know that Sandy had left, but the county doesn't get a whole lot of money off of a traffic ticket. So the idea is enforcement as opposed to financial. And then lastly, I know there's been a couple people talk about mental health, and we've had 3 calls relating to mental health in fiscal year 24 so far. And that number, I think, is probably low from the standpoint of how calls are recorded when they are CAD'd into the system. I believe that there's probably more than that, but depending on how that call gets entered into our CAD system, because there are mental health cases out there that police countywide are dealing with every day. And so what one person thinks is a mental health issue, another person may not. So a lot of times it's how those calls get CAD'd. And, you know, as most of you know, realize, and you see on TV, a lot of the incidents that the national news is reporting is the offender had a mental health crisis going on. So those are certainly things that we are keeping an eye on. And that's all for the report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions on the report, Ms. Monday?
I glanced at this last night just briefly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then I'm just now looking at it again with fresh eyes. But why is the revenue so much lower at this point in time?
Well, I mean, remember, you have to multiply this or divide this by, what are we in, 5 months?
So this is not year to date. This is just fiscal year. Okay.
This is not just month. This is an ad. So if you divide that by the 5 months that we're into the fiscal year,
okay, I was thinking
it's not-
fiscal year to date. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I mean,
It's just
certainly don't want
fiscal year.
to, you know, that's why we show the total amount, because that's what's going to show up at the end in those bolded numbers down below
Yeah.
where you see last year there was 11,900,000 brought in. So that's year to date. So
Yeah.
figuring that we'll be somewhere between 9 and 11 million, I would have to say we'd be somewhere around 10 million, maybe a little
Probably
more.
similar, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
good. I told you, I didn't have enough coffee yet, that's all. That's all it is.
Well,
I'm working on it.
no, in your defense, the report, we got the report to Kelly yesterday, so, you know, and that was our,
Mhm.
again, we're working on the timing of that whole report, so.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Pardon me. I hope I didn't mishear Judge Cunnington when he said that there was some legislation pending regarding the Safety Act. I know you
I don't
have-
think he said legislation, I think he said there's some committees working on it.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
there was some
No,
pending, because I know
no,
you got your
and,
finger on
and
the
I,
button.
you know, obviously with, you know, and he made a great point, and I'll just touch on it since you brought it up. You know, system-wide, from the PD's office to the state's attorney to the judges, the courts, I mean, things have run as smooth as they could possibly be. There's gonna be hiccups, there's gonna be things there's gonna be people who the state wants detained, there's gonna be people who the police want detained that based on the law can't be detained. I mean, we said a long time ago, when you when you want to complain about somebody who's not in jail, don't call the judges, don't call the state's attorney, don't call the public defender, don't call the police, call your legislators, because that's the reason that people aren't being held in jail, is because of that act. But no, there's really no pending legislation Safety Act wise. They've done nothing with the Safety Act in this session, and don't know that there's any plans to do it in the fall.
You
so.
may recall a couple months ago, we talked about bringing in all of our state legislators. There's, I mean,
Good luck with that.
Well, I know some, a couple will probably show up.
Couple will show, there's no doubt, and a couple won't.
Might you make that offer formally in terms of writing and see what the response might be?
Sure.
Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Good luck.
I know. Hey, all you can do is ask.
We have a motion and a second on his report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I got surplus equipment. I
Surplus
think.
equipment, yes.
Yeah, that is, that's a list of things, our fleet, our fleet, the person in charge of our fleet went through and started cleaning out that big garage in the back, and there's a lot of old equipment that really we cannot use. Any old equipment that we can use, we've used. So he provided a list to see if we can get any money for it at all.
Gun safes. How big are those?
Let me see the list. Yeah, so those are the ones that are in the back of the Tahoes. And they're probably from our maybe 2013 vehicles that obviously when they changed the sizes, those no longer fit. So we're hoping that things like those, if people have some older Tahoes, they can maybe use them and we can get something for them.
Thank you.
Okay, take a motion on that, Mr. Eckhoff, second by Ms. Andrade. Anything, other comments? All in
No.
favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yeah, I have a couple other things, and some of them are actually good. I'll show this, and I don't know if y'all can see it, but this is the certificate of accreditation for our medical department through the NCCHC, which is the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare. It's the gold standard in the corrections world of healthcare for those who are in custody. You know, most of the individuals who come to us, unfortunately, for whatever reason, and I know there's a lot of reasons we can all talk about, but for whatever reason, they don't take care of themselves health-wise on the street. And it is, I mean, by county jail standards, we're required to, when they are released, they are to be released in no worse shape than what they were when they came in. However, our medical department has a philosophy that we want them to be better when they leave here, when they leave our jail, just because it's a public health issue. And if we can get people healthy, we think maybe, you know, they can get out there and take better care of themselves. But a lot of times that's not the case when they come in. But our medical staff, who is Dr. Long, who is our doctor, and Liz DeLong, who's our director of nursing, do an outstanding job in caring for those who require significant health care in our custody. So credit to them. Again, the NCCHC is the gold standard in correctional health care, and we've been accredited now for, I want to say, 9 years. I think this is the 9th year that we're accredited, so that's a good thing countywide. So the only thing I'll say about the Safety Act, and this is not a criticism of our judicial system, our state's attorney or public defender. This is just part of the Safety Act and what we're all trying to do. But we have a significant number, I would say about close to 30 individuals who have been in our custody from anywhere from 2 to 7 years waiting trial. 7 years. And the problem is, with the Safety Act, has put time stipulations on everything so that the focus has been on making sure we meet those time stipulations with those who are arrested post-Safety Act. The ones who are in our custody pre-Safety Act have kind of been set on the back burner, and so now we have what I would call a significant number of individuals who are in our custody for longer than they should be in our custody. Not to say that what their charges are, they shouldn't stay in custody, but they should stay in custody in the Department of Corrections. So hopefully the state and the public defender can move these cases and get these individuals out of our jail and to the Department of Corrections or release, whatever the outcome of their case is. As I've reported before, the cost to house a local inmate is well over $100 a day. So if you take that 7-year inmate who's been here for 7 years at $100 a day, the cost of that is well over $250,000. So that's significant. And obviously you start to mix finances with safety. These people need to be held in jail, but we hope that those cases get moving along. So, and again, that is not a criticism locally, that is a criticism of the Safety Act. So we talked about mental health a little bit earlier and some of the things going on locally for those that are not in custody. We talked last month about the pilot program we have with the Department of Human Services, and we currently have 6 of those mental health detainees from other counties who are receiving treatment actually from Iroquois Mental Health. In addition, our local inmates are also receiving that same help, and we are getting paid to house, and we do not pay for that mental health service. The state of Illinois is paying for that. So I've looked at that from the beginning as a win-win locally, because if we don't have the resources locally to get the treatment, we now have that ability to get these individuals who are here locally treated, as well as those who are from places who also don't have resources. So far it's going okay, but we are monitoring it monthly. So we'll see how it goes. And then something we discovered probably within the last 3 or 4 months, there's an organization out in our community called Cornerstone, who apparently has contracted with the state of Illinois and is receiving inmates who are being released from IDOC, and they are staying in residences, residential areas, homes, if you will, locally, who have, some have been released from the Dixon Correctional Center, which is where they treat mental health inmates. They are being released into Kankakee County even though they weren't sentenced in Kankakee County. All local law enforcement is aware of them. I know that we have dealt with some of them multiple times already, and we really can't understand why they're sending people who weren't sentenced to Kankakee County. Yes. Nope, I guess that's your job.
I actually know, because I stopped and asked some of the folks when they were downtown Kankakee. Those are some of the homeless population in downtown Kankakee as well. And
Well, they're putting them up in a hotel initially.
Well, they told me directly that DOC asked where to go. They didn't know where to go, and they sent them here. They said we had the good services.
Yeah.
So they are telling them to come here, and then we have to deal with them on this side. And they're saying we're not going to send money with them too, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that infuriates me. It's irresponsible, and it makes people not want to step up and do the right thing to help people because they just pile on that community. It's not fair, especially to the people that are our residents that are struggling, or they're not even sentenced from here. This is, I'm sorry, I gotta stop. It's something I found out about 3 months ago. It started, and that's when I stopped and talked to someone because I hadn't seen them before, and that's what's going on.
Okay, hang on. Mr. Hunter had a question.
Well, I'll yield to Peggy Sue. Did you have something?
I just had a question, but.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
I'll follow up.
All right, well, I just have, thank you, Mr. Chair. What happened to that rule that prisoners were gonna go back to the county where they were?
Well, those are to be housed though in the jails. So these aren't individuals. So that particular legislation that passed is, if the sheriff agrees, they'll take them back for their last 6 months or whatever.
Right.
No, that's totally separate. Totally separate.
So these are people who have actually served their
Yes.
entire sentence and are released.
Well,
or part of
serve their
sentence
entire sentence is
until
kind of a,
someone said you
yeah.
can go home now.
Yeah, when
All
DOC tells you can go, basically.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Hunter.
Very much, Mr. Chairman. Just, I guess, a comment for those of you who are not aware of the fact that the county of Kankakee, the Sheriff's Department, hosts the every other month meeting with the NAACP, as well as other individuals from the county. Oftentimes we'll have state police there. We'll have visitors from out of county, Iroquois County. We'll have people from Danville, Peoria. This is live streamed, and we discussed a myriad of items. But the point I was trying to make is that a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was asked to attend the Illinois Chiefs of Police meeting they had up in Tinley Park. And some of the panelists were around the state in terms of enhancing the relationship with law enforcement and NAACP, in terms of chief of police working with NAACP on mutual issues. And Sheriff Downey was there, along with Kankakee City, Kidwell, as well as Austin. And they have used the Kankakee model. It's something that they're taking on the road. This particular workshop has standing room only. In fact, the sheriff gave up his seat to an individual or lady or somebody. I thought that was gracious. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that we had all these different people on this panel, and we utilized the Kankakee model, as something that is going to be taken on the road. They're also thinking about taking this on the road, and I discussed this with Theodis, and I said, maybe we could interface with the Sheriff's Association and make the same presentation. My chest grew out a few inches when Kidwell spoke, as well as our own sheriff, in terms of how this thing works, the dynamics, etc. Most recently, we had the people from Danville to come to our local meeting. I think they were very impressed. I think they may have had the branch president of NAACP. They may have had an alderman and some other individuals there as well too. But that particular workshop in which they discussed the Kankakee model probably could have gone on for another couple hours. That says something about the support that we have in terms of people of color with law enforcement. Not only at our last meeting, I think, Sheriff, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had our two legislators there. We had Senator Joyce and Representative Haas who attended. Mayor Hodge from Pembroke was there. Mayor Curtis was there. I can't remember if there are any other mayors who attended that particular meeting. It's very beneficial. It's informative. And we do a lot of positive things in tandem, not adversarial. I think has evolved from Ferguson to the present day. But anyway, I just want to compliment the sheriff and our local law enforcement and their elected officials who attended that meeting who work in tandem. Any comments on it?
Yeah, I mean, from 2015 when we started, it's been nothing but positive. The best part is we're not always going to agree, but we work through everything, and it's great. It's like I've said it before, it should be a model nationwide. So.
It's very important. Plus the sheriff fees.
I'll tell the auditor.
Yeah. Anything else for the sheriff? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Up next, Animal Control, Carrie Laird. In the package, you have a copy of her monthly report. Take a motion to approve that. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Marion. Morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
Comments on your report?
I really don't have any comments on the report.
How come the YIP-TIP fund come back in this time?
The audit or the finance department gets it to me when they can.
Okay.
The treasurer gets when they can, and I don't always ask for it, so I don't feel bad asking for it all the time, so I just put it in there when it gets to me. So. Okay.
Any questions on her report? Ms. Andrade?
On the report, but can you give us more details about the microchip for the farmers market?
Sure. Yeah, we've been doing that the last couple of years. This year we're going to do 3 or 4, I want to say. I just get with them and they just decide we pick a date and we're going to do this microchip clinic this Saturday from 8 to 12 at the farmers market. It's $15, cash only. You bring your dog, we'll microchip it right then and there. It's very simple. So we do that. I think we're doing another one in July and then September, I want to say, or August and September.
Any questions on the report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
As for the building, so the architects came down a couple of weeks ago and they did their punch list and they found a couple of things they wanted tweaks. The contractors came back. They've been coming back slowly here and there, and they're fixing some things that the architects found. They're currently fixing some lighting in the back as it was only shining down in one cage, where we got lighting shining down on all the cages in the back, so they're fixing that currently. Everything else, I mean, it's 99% done, so we're just waiting for the final say that we can move in. Our dedication is July 1st. We'll have more information about that later, but hopefully we get to move in a couple of weeks or a month or so. So it's very exciting. So the landscaping was done, the sod's done. Having some cages built right now, buying some more cages this week. So it's coming along really well.
Good. Mr. Hunter.
I think maybe I'm on speed this morning, but anyway, Kankakee City contract, any movement on that?
Not until we move in. Nope, we haven't done anything not until we move in.
Okay, but is anything pending with Kankakee City at all?
No, not until we move in. No, he was aware that we're gonna wait until at least June. Okay. So yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Coroner's Office, Mr. Gessner. In the package, you have a copy of his monthly report and the monthly receipts of money. Take a motion to combine and approve them. Mr. Hunter, second by Ms. Andrade.
Morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Basically, as you can, if you're looking at our statistics here, our call numbers have gone down a little bit. You know, along with different like autopsies have gone down a little bit, but that summer's coming here pretty quickly. Usually rises on that. Other than the fact, it's pretty well self-explanable. I'll take any questions on that.
Any questions on the report? The motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And our ODs are basically are at 13 overdoses with 1 pending right now, which is good. I feel our education going out and talking from youth all the way out to senior citizens have helped with the average age at 49 years of age. The oldest being 69 of overdoses. We did see the, as I warned, I think 2 sessions ago, that there's a new fentanyl out there that just came in town called parafluorofentanyl, which is a little bit higher than fentanyl itself. So we've had 2 cases on that already. And xylazine has gone down a little bit, knock knock here. Other than that, we're still continuing to working, but just an instance of what you were just talking about, what the sheriff was talking about the people coming to our county. We've had 4 deaths from those situations already. The people coming from Dixon coming to Kankakee County. We've had basically we've had to pay 2 out of the 4 that died. We had to pay out of our budget to put them into either cremation or tiberium, basically mostly cremation. In looking at there was 1 that was an overdose, 2 1 was a suicide, and 2 were naturals. But they released 1 of them was released from Dixon for a convicted murderer, 60 year sentence. He got out in 30 years, and he came in town here, and we got him. Those are what's, as the sheriff just talked about, what's out there, what we are dealing with, especially when we have to pay for 2 of them that really even come from our county, because you can't find relatives, and nobody wants anything to do with them anymore. So it ends up being us. So other than that, that's what we're at.
Something just popped into my mind, and I probably should have asked this when the sheriff was up here. What about Route 50 and 12,000 and Route 50 or Route 1 and 12,000? What's going on? Is with all the accidents?
Well, the
and
accidents,
fatalities. I mean,
yeah, right. We're working on that through Department of Transportation, trying to get a meeting with them here. Getting everybody together here has been really difficult to get together. We're continually working on that. We've had a couple accidents out there, not fatals wise, but we've had fatals out there, but not recently. So, in Route 1, you said?
Route 1. There was another one night before last, Sheriff? Grant Park, yeah. County line. Is it the semi-traffic? Sheriff, would you comment on it? I hate to put you on the spot.
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, you know, you can look at the problem is every accident at either county line or at Route 1, depending on, you know, the fault is really, it changes. There's no consistency to where somebody's running a stop sign or whatever. So it's, you know, and I think Mr. Gessner referred to it, there's so many entities involved that, you know, it's like anything else. It's hard to get something done. You've got the state of Illinois on Route 50, you've got Will County, Kankakee County, townships are involved. So you've got all these agencies that are trying to do something and basically nothing's getting done. In 2 different IDOT districts. So you're government work at its finest, unfortunately. And that's not a great answer for those that are victims, there's no doubt. But right now there's, you know, we've actually had our guy sit out at that intersection at various times. We can't post somebody there 24 hours a day. You know, the state, Will County, if they could step up, but you know, we're going to have to sit a guy out there to prevent these accidents, and I think that's obviously not the solution. It's short term, but you know, we'll continue to monitor that. But yeah, we're working with all these agencies. So
the reason I ask is I've got quite a few calls on that. You know, that's the end of my district.
Sure.
And you know, people are saying what can be done. And they're saying a lot of the semi-traffic from going across to the intermodal.
There is a lot of semi-traffic on that road, on Route 1. There's no doubt. But again, the fault is fivefold. I mean, it could be somebody pulling out in front of somebody. It could be, you know, a motorcycle going this way. I mean, there's just so many things that factor into it that it's hard to pinpoint one specific. The minute we make a change, something else is going to happen, and then there's going to be another accident there, and then we're going to say, well, what do we do? I mean, that's just those intersections. So, but we'll continue to work on them.
Thank you.
Well, also, hats off to the Manteno Fire Department, the chief of the department there. He gave me a folder about this thick of all the stuff that's being done. We've got the right ammunition. We just can't get the people together. Same thing happened to us on 6,000 and Route 50 when we changed that. It was a long fight to get them there. Once we got them there, we were able to get that done. So we have not stopped at that. So the answer back to them is that we're working on it. I know it sounds kind of bad, but we are working on it. So.
Okay.
Promise you that.
Mr. Hunter, you have a question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Corner Gessner, I know that you and State's Attorney Rowe interface quite a bit and do a lot of stuff. You guys are tied at the hip, and I know, if my memory serves me correctly, at the annex to the Lorenzo Smith School, they established a satellite office out there which helps people in their quest to receive county services. Don't have to go 40 miles round trip coming to Kankakee. And I know that some of the county offices are frequenting that location. Are you a part of that as well, too?
Yes.
Okay. Could you expound on that and what you do?
Well, we'll go out there and with the Narcan program, with the health department's basically gone out there and done a lot for the Narcan wise. And my comment to them always is, you can hand out as much Narcan as you want to hand out, but somebody's got to have that Narcan if somebody overdoses. That guy can't do it himself or situation. So yeah, we're due to go back out there anytime that whenever Jim goes out there. In fact, I'm going to a senior session today at the YMCA to talk about stuff. So.
I just want to say that that's very helpful for people on fixed income.
I agree.
They're very helpful.
Oh, yeah. No, don't get going on that. Thank you, mister.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Yeah. How's that hand?
Good. Coming along.
The man.
Up next, under new business, is Tyler Technology update.
Morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Not a whole lot to report since last month. In the report, we did add some extra facts and figures for you guys. We did complete Data Push 2 in the Circuit Clerk's office. We also pushed forward with Data Push 3, and we have started the review now. everything so far is in the green. We're at 43%. Overall progress, same thing. We have issues. We work through them. We make sure the project goes forward. We're also searching for training rooms right now in preparation to later in the year when we got to train the rest of the staff to do the project. In Tom's office, they just completed they're doing data push 2 right now, so it's kind of like an off week for them. But so far everything looks great, looks good, everything's on budget. Any questions?
Mr. Eckhoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason, I just want to say good job, keep up the good work, and thank you for letting us know and keeping us up to date.
Yep, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, sir. Is there any other new business? We got to give Jason time to get back up there. Any old business come before the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second by Miss Monday. Got to make sure he's up there. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?